Have you ever said, I feel like I'm a married single mother? Because I have. I have two kids, 5 and 7. And over time, I've seen their personalities start to take shape and then become these awesome people. And the whole journey to watch them grow and develop is exciting. But if I'm honest, it is hard work. And I was speaking at a conference yesterday, and afterwards, I met this young lady. She had a good job, makes 6 figures, work in tech. And she was like, I think I want to have at least one, though, one kid. And I said to her, you know, okay. But I think sitting in this seat now, I would just say to you, make sure you do all the things that you ever thought you wanted to do, because once those babies come, your time and attention is no longer your own. And it's even more important, the person that you choose to have a baby with, because that makes such a difference. Now, I talked about my husband before, sweetheart, great guy. And I remember when we first got married, or when we were engaged, I was saying, oh my gosh, he's so sweet. I cannot even think. What could we possibly ever argue about? Ask me that now, and I would just like let the scroll roll down the street because I mean, it's so many things that we argue about. I talked about, expectations before. But I remember when I had my son, and, my husband has the time where he's home, and then he has the time where he has to go back to work. And I could just remember being exhausted, and I was at home. At this point, I'm home by myself, and I'm just like, I had no freaking idea babies come with all of this. Because you see people, they dress the babies up, they look all cute, oh, they drool. You don't know about all the stuff that goes on at home. And my son, he was pretty cool because he didn't really cry that much. Thank God he was healthy, so I didn't have to deal with colic and all these other things. But I just remember one particular time saying to my husband, like, I need you to get up and change his diaper. And he's like, I gotta get up and go to work in the morning. I said, listen, I'm breastfeeding, so you're not really helping with feedings, because at this time I hadn't figured out how to do the pump and store thing, and I'm just happy to get this baby fed and back to sleep. So I'm like, I need you to help with these diaper changes. And that was a thing. And I'm just like, I'm exhausted. Every time this little person wakes up, I'm getting up in the middle of the night, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then, the baby gets older, his sister comes, and now I have like a toddler and a baby, and same thing. And for my husband, this is me now reflecting back. He's like, because we talked about it later, he's like, I think I'm doing my best because, I'm going to work. I'm making sure I provide so that we have the things that we need to care for our growing family. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't give a damn about that job. I need you to be home helping me with these kids, because it's a lot, you know, as a new mom, trying to figure out, okay, I have a newborn and a toddler, and it's just me. I can't take them both out the car and get them in the house at the same time. So who am I leaving in the car to take the other one in? And how far in am I taking them because the other one is still in the car? Like, just those type of things. And I'm like, you don't even have to deal with that. You get up, you go to work, you work, and you come home. And I just remember so many times a lot of our arguments were around me feeling like you're not doing your part. You're not doing your fair share. I'm doing the most work, and all you're doing is going to work. And I'm, doing all this stuff. And then once I went back to work, it's like, ho. So now I gotta go to work. I gotta drop them off. I gotta pick them up. I gotta do all this stuff. And then, and I remember talking to my girlfriends who were married, and they had children, still newly married. And so the conversation is similar. Yeah, me too. I feel like I'm a married single mother, blah, 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 blah. And then I talked to my Aunt Shortie, and she would just say, no matter what happens, those are your kids. So it doesn't matter who else does or does not. Those are your babies. And not that she was saying that my husband is off the hook, but you make sure as their mom, you are always doing the best for them, because that's what's best for them. Everything else is irrelevant. It's just that. And I would listen, but I'm just like, oh, wow, always got to be. Da, da, da. And she would just say, if you want your husband to do something, model it for him. Show him what you want him to do. Because, again, I have these expectations of what I want him to do. I just think he's supposed to be in my brain and know, see, and just hop to it. But again, that's something I had to learn about, having expectations. But she's like, model what you would like for him to do. And, I would do certain things, and then I go back, well, I did it and he wasn't. And she was like, it's only been a month. What do you think is supposed to happen? Like, it doesn't happen that fast. And then, we hit like the, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 year mark in our marriage. And it seems like we're arguing all the time. And it's always around, I don't feel like he's doing enough. He feels like I'm working all these hours because I'm trying to make sure my family is good. And then my wife is telling me I'm not doing enough. I feel like, I don't know whatever you ask me to do, I'm going to do it. And that's my husband. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to have to ask you. I just want you to know to do it and do it. And that was constantly our struggle. And then again, so I know you guys hear me talk about my Aunt Shortie a lot, and you're probably wondering, why don't you talk about your mom or your dad? So I do talk to them, but what I've learned very early, even before being married, like when I was dating, I don't always talk to my parents about things because, you know how it goes. You be mad at the person, so you kicking their back into your parents, and then you make up, and now your parents is mad. So then they come, hey, how you doing? Your parents, you still with this? So I just want to make sure that I don't always have all of those type of conversations with my parents, because I don't want to skew their view. They're going to see what they're going to see anyway. But I don't always have those conversations. And, Aunt Shortie, like I said, is my person that I talk to. My parents, they know. So it's not like I'm doing anything sneaky, but she's just a person that I talk to and confide in a lot, because she knows how I was raised. She understands what's important over the years for my parents, to make sure that I get. And so she's in line with what they want. And so there's never been any friction with that. So I just want to make that clarification, because I'm always referencing her. But I spoke to her and I'm like, oh, Shorty, I don't know. It's not working. And she's like, I don't know if I can tell you exactly how she said it, but it was somewhere along the lines of, I tried to tell you, but no, Aunt Shortie, I'm getting married. She said, because when you're young and that's what you want to do, nobody can tell you anything. She said, this is the things that we try to tell young people, but when you have your mindset on doing something, that's what you're going to do. She said, marriage is hard. The people that have been in it and that have done it for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, they've all gone through something. They have not gotten to where they are in that journey without having gone through something. And she said, if you want your husband to get something, it may not be that it's going to come from you. But if you want him to get something, again, model it and pray for your husband. So I'm like, okay, I could do that. So I'm modeling and I'm praying. And then I'm like, this ain't working because he not getting it. And she's like, so you think that because you want to see something happen and it's not happening in the time that you want it to happen, that nothing is happening. And in my mind, I'm like, well, yeah. But of course, I'm like, you're right. And then I really started to lean into, I really want to be successful. I talked to my husband a lot and I said, you know, it's really important to me that our children see what a healthy, loving relationship is. And I'm committed to doing the work to ensure that that's what they see. Not that they see something that's perfect, because that's not real, but that they really see and know my dad really loved my mom. And my mom really loved my dad. And there's no question of whether I am deserving of love because I come from it. And so the way that we started to talk to each other began to change. And I don't mean like in an argument, but I just mean the level of vulnerability. And that took some time for us to get there. And so I said, again, this was like 3, 4, 5 years into our marriage. And it seems like just in the past 2 weeks, there have been some really significant things that have happened to show me that my prayers are being answered. And not in the time that I want them to, but that it's being worked out. And that I need to learn patience, because I am definitely well, if we could do it, why we can't do it now? And why it can't happen now? And like, not now, but like right now. Last week, I was listening to shout out to Ladune and his prayer room. I was listening on Instagram, and he was talking about not just about waiting, but the importance of what you do while you wait for the thing that you want and that you're praying for. And that if you're not careful, you can do something to mess up what is waiting for you if you just do what you're supposed to do while you're waiting and working to get to where you're going. And I know that there have been a couple times where, you know, things weren't moving as fast as I wanted them to with what I wanted to see. And then I try to interject myself into the situation, and it turns into my husband and I arguing, we not talking, and just because I'm not going to say the right thing. I think with the best of intentions, I'm doing the right thing, but I say it the wrong way, or I don't say it the right way. I just say it how I feel it because I'm angry and I just want you to know that you ain't doing it right. It didn't work. So Last week, my husband had to rent a car. So I had to go there because he had to drop his truck off at the mechanic. And when I walked in, the lady at the counter was like, "Oh my goodness, I just want to tell you, your husband is so wonderful." And I'm just like, "Thank you." You know, because that's what you do. In my mind, I'm like, I could tell you some stuff, but okay, lady. And, so she's like, I just want you to know, I'm trying to help him out and, get him a fair price or whatever. And so I always have a joke because my husband is like 6'5" and he has these dimples. So I'm like, because he goes places and people are always really nice, or he go in a restaurant to get food and he's like, the lady just gave me a extra slice of cake for free. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you're behind up in there smiling and showing your dimples. And he's like, I didn't ask for this. The lady just, and it happens so often that that's like our running joke now. So I'm like, yeah, you up there smiling in the lady face. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you up here smiling. He's like, no. She was like, no, I want to tell you. And this how she did. She was looking at me. She said, brother, don't worry about it. I'm about to help you out. And she was like, you got a podcast? I said, I do. She said, you a praying woman? I said, I am. She said, were you in a coma? I said, I was. She said, the whole time he was here, all your husband did was speak highly about you and how much he loved his wife and how blessed he was to have you as his wife. And he didn't know what he did to deserve you, but he's so happy that he has you. And, so initially I did the eye roll thing, like, yeah, mm-hmm. But then when I really sat and thought about it, I had a conversation with my husband because, kids, mortgage, all the things that happen in relationships, it kind of puts a strain. And I had said to my husband, I feel like you don't really like me anymore. We don't go out as much. And, all the girly things that girls like. When she said that to me, it reminded me that I had prayed for something, that I wanted God to help strengthen my marriage and to help my husband remember or see my value. And without my husband saying it, it showed me that he does. That he does support me, even though it don't look nothing like how I want it to look. He does. And it made me feel good. And, my husband's like, see, I be trying to tell her, I'm always talking about her. And I'm like, well, you don't say that to me. So how I'm supposed to know? And he said, later when we got home, he said, I don't know why I don't say it to you. And maybe I do need to say it more to you. But I am so happy and grateful and blessed that you're my wife. So that was a check mark. There was another time where my husband and it's so funny. I can't even tell you the thing that we was arguing about because that's how insignificant it is. But I know at the time I was really angry about whatever it was. I was in the car. I had dropped the kids off. I was in the car for about a good hour and a half on the phone with Aunt Shortie, fuming. And she said to me, but what did you do? Did you do everything in your power to try and make that situation better? And I'm like, no, but he. And she's like, I keep hearing about what he did. And okay, but what did you do? Did you do everything in your power to make it better? And I was like, I didn't. So I went in the house and I talked to my husband. And I don't remember what the thing was But it was more in line with the same thing. You're not seeing me anymore. You know, I do a lot around here and we kind of missing each other. And he just looked at me and he said, Aaliyah. Now, my husband, he doesn't call me Aaliyah most of the time. He said, Aaliyah, I love you more than anything in the world. And I just broke down and started crying. And if you know me, then you know I'm a G and you know I don't be crying like that. But I just broke down and started crying. Marriage is hard. You hear people say it, but it is hard because you are constantly growing and changing. Your partner is constantly growing and changing, and you're both witnessing the changes in real time. When it's you can't even figure out your own stuff, but you know, you kind of go through the motions. It's different when you trying to figure out your own changes and then you trying to figure out their changes that they haven't even figured out themselves, and you trying to make all this stuff work. And we're not as young as we used to be. My aunt is always reminding me how in 9 years I will officially be a senior citizen. Okay, hold on. Time out. Did you know that at age 50, you are officially considered a senior citizen? Okay, I didn't know that. I know that they send out the AARP card when you turn 50, but I thought that's so that you have it once you reach like 65. I thought they just give it to you so you have it on hand. My dad was like, no, they send it to you at 50 because at 50 you officially a senior citizen. What? He's like, and it ain't gonna be late. They going on your 50th birthday is gonna be in the mail. And then as I started talking to people, I started to learn that a lot of my peers that are like 40s, mid 40s, they ain't know either. So parents, y'all dropped the ball because y'all ain't tell us that at 50. Listen, it's all good. It's all good. I am going to be using them senior citizen discounts, so it's all good. But now that we got that out the way. So I'm always trying to tell, not even necessarily young people, just anybody who isn't married that thinks they want to be married and have children. Take your time and really think it through, because I say I could do hard things. You know, that's one of my affirmations, but marriage is one of them things that test you every single day. And like, you have a good day in the morning and then by the nighttime, you arguing again. Like, it was all good just a week ago. Now I'm ready to hit you upside the head with a frying pan when you walk through the door. On top of the kids bouncing around, and it's like, man, all y'all, I'm about to just, anyway, it be like that sometimes. My husband asked to pray this morning, and the things that he prayed for let me know that God heard my prayers, and I can see the work that he's doing in my husband. And I don't share the things that I pray for with him, so he doesn't know. But when I heard him speak the words this morning, it was just confirmation for me that God is like, girl, calm down. I got this. Okay? And it's funny because Aunt Shortie always says, you know, just like you, God's child, he is too. So God don't love you no more than he love him. And just like you want him to work on him, he needs to work on you too. Because I am a piece of work. I saw a friend yesterday who's married, and he has a collective of other married couples. And we were talking, and he was like, can I ask you something? Because I want to know, is it just me in my house? And the things that he was asking, I was just like, nope. happening over here too. And I know from other conversations, it's happening in other married um, couples' homes as well. And what we both kind of deduced was, well, I'll tell you what some of the issues were. He was saying, just like me, he was saying, my wife was always saying, it would be nice if you would just notice me, or if I look nice, say, wow, babe, you look really nice. And just the things that men do when they're courting a woman. It seems like once they get them and get married, again, you got kids and bills and all those things kind of change things, but it's almost like you don't do the same things you used to do. And this could be both ways, because, guy might say, you swinging off the chandelier before, and now you don't be doing it. But we gonna keep that in. But he was just like, I don't know why it's hard for me to walk down the street and grab my wife's hand. I don't know why it's so hard for me to initiate saying, babe, I love you so much. And he was like, I don't know if it's for black men a thing of, I got the girl, I want love, so I'm pursuing this woman, but I don't want to like be too vulnerable or too mushy with my girl because, I'm a man. And he was like, I don't know where that thing comes from. And I don't know if it's because a lot of times young black men haven't seen their dads, their uncles, or whomever love on women in a certain type of way that allows them to see it or give them permission to do the same. Much in the way, like how I said earlier, I want my children to know love is a given because you've seen it and you've experienced it. And he was saying, I don't know if that's why sometimes it's hard for me to do those things for my wife or speak those words to her when I think it, I feel it, but I just don't always communicate that to her. So if you have ever said, or maybe you still feel that way now, that you are a married single mother, I would say to you to really examine what you could do. And I know a lot of times it feels like, why I always got to be the one? Because that's me all the time. Why I always got to be the one to take the high road, to do what's right? Why that always have to be me? And my Aunt Shortie always says, to whom much is given, much is required. Because that has to be you. And then over time, you'll start to get your flowers. When you sow good seeds into your children, you don't see it right away because, through their development, you're ready to pull your hair out. And then one day they graduate from school and they're given a valedictorian speech. And then they run down everything that you did in their development that you thought they was not paying attention to. So, you have to just, when you commit yourself to something like marriage and children, you have to be willing to put in the work, and it will be tiring and frustrating, but you have to remember the commitment that you made by making the choice, because it is a choice. We not always planned, but we make a choice. So I would say just make sure you exhaust every single resource, possibility, opportunity that you have to make things better. Make sure you take the opportunity to use and exhaust every single recourse that you have to make things better. And then I'm still learning that you have to give things time. That's a hard one because I'm definitely not the most patient person, but I know that, and that's what I'm working on. But if you're not in that seat, you do not know what it is until you sit in the seat. And then at that point, if you're going to do it the right way, it's too late to say, oh, nah, maybe I don't want to do this. Because, I mean, you can't send the kids back where they came from. And, you know, I'm not telling anybody who's watching this if you in a toxic situation to stay. That's not what I'm saying. But just the regular strain of a relationship that comes up, you know, do as much as you can for as long as you can until you cannot do it anymore, would really be my advice. And even though she said that she didn't want to be on my podcast.
Here we go. Here we go. You were doing fine. Perfect.
You're not mic'd up yet.
Good.
They can still hear you though. I just want my auntie. So I could, because anybody who knows me, everybody that really knows me, knows Aunt Shortie. You've either heard me tell a story. No, everybody. See, she didn't want to be on the podcast. Now she want to be talking off camera. Everybody that knows me knows Aunt Shortie, and they know her as only Aunt Shortie. She just got off a plane today, and I'm so happy that she's here. When I tell you it's my shopping buddy, we go out to eat. That's my girl.
That's right.
30 years, my senior, but she does not skip a beat, and fashion is on point, everything. So I'm gonna ask her if she would just come say hi to the people.
Hi, I'm Aunt Shortie. I am more than honored to be sitting here. Kind of surprised that I am. I don't do social media, and my niece recognizes that. But because I love her, and I am so overwhelmed watching her from her adolescence to her womanhood, and wanting to speak on it because it's so important, it's so relevant, and not only for her, but for generations. I'm a firm believer myself that we've gotten away from talking to our children, and she and I talk about it all the time. I am a retired school teacher, a dedicated school teacher, and love my children. And I think that might have been an inspiration for her to be able to talk to me, along with some more things as just niece and Aunt Shortie. Watching her on this podcast, because she knows I would not do this, I'm so proud of her because I know without a shadow of a doubt, she's teaching more than she knows. Ages from 0 to 80, you know, we've all passed through this journey. And I just believe in getting the best out of the journey. And she also has inherited that skill. So I didn't know I was this involved, but now that I am, and I'm going against the grain by being on social media, I would just like to say to everyone listening that there's nothing that you're doing that's new. And you cannot do it by yourself. But you don't have to get points from anyone to be yourself. And if someone comes along that wants to share some information because they see the best in you, listen. Not hear them, listen. Because we all have to make adjustments. I've made so many of them. But we also must always give our best before we point fingers and expect the best from others. So that's all I have to say. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of what she's doing. And like I said, you don't get brownie points for being a good mother, a good wife, a good husband, a good friend. Either you are or you're not. But you can learn so much from the seniors of the world of how they got where they are. Because I'm real happy where I'm sitting. So thank you. Love you. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I appreciate this moment. Thank you, Nisi. Silly Willy.